What's up, everyone? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we got another album review for you. This time we're going over another debut full-length from a new band here. Vitriol's To Bathe from the Throat of Cowardice. This is the band's first album. It debuted on Century Media and it came out Friday. They only have one other EP other than this, and this is very much a fresh new band out there. They're from Portland, Oregon, been around since 2013, and they play a style of death metal that is in-fucking-sane.
Yep. Very tech death. Very Hate Eternal.
Hate Eternal mixed with incantation, some black metal, and then sort of the insane sort of song structure you'd hear in a band like the Red Chord. It is absolutely nuts sounding and unrelenting. This album skips any intros, any really build up. Yeah, it goes straight for the throat right away, which is kind of a, lead into the first track, which is a parting of the neck. And right away, this is a massive track. Dissonant riffing. The riff structure on this album is just insane sounding.
Yes.
The main thing across this entire album is dissonant melodies. And melodies is almost even a stretch because some of it just borders on pure, unrelenting noise. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, melodies are there, but overall, it's just a wall of sound. It's a wall of gritty, nasty sound. The guitar tone is disgusting on this album.
Yes, and like the riff structure is insane. It definitely harks back to like stuff like Hate Eternal and Incantation, but there's stuff on there that reminds me of Portal, which I'm not even a Portal fan, but I know of these guys and just how insane their music sounds.
Getting through Portal is entertaining.
Yes, and they bring in elements of that, but at least they come back to some more accessible parts. Like you still have some breakdowns here and there and some groovy parts, but this album shifts from violent mood to more violent mood, left and right.
So when I listened to this album, initially I was at work. When I listened to it again, I was doing the dishes, and as I was cleaning knives, this is a great record to clean knives to.
Well, as long as you weren't like looking at people outside like, stab them. Right away, a couple of standouts I had on this. Legacy of Contempt. My God. The opening riff on this actually made me feel like I was walking into a cloud of gnats. Like I had to defend myself from these fucking nuts riffs. I like the fact that they had deeper vocals on this. His register is almost kind of more mid-range, and it really reminds me a lot of Eric Rutan and actually both vocalists in Misery Index. It kind of has a hardcore fucking bite to it.
At times, yep.
But this one he used a lot of lower register growls on this. I really like that. Had some groovier sections that were almost kind of doomy.
I Drown Nightly has a great groovy section in it. I was punching non-existent people in the kitchen while doing dishes today.
So yeah, that one I like because the first real solo that I picked out in this nasty mix on here, because the mix is solid, but it is designed to fucking hurt you. Like,
yeah.
This music is almost like a musical representation of physical pain. It's that fucking heavy. But yeah, that one had the first solo in it that I really picked out, and I was surprised at how melodic it actually was. I mean, it still did, the squealy dive bombs and all sorts of twisted shit in there, but it actually had a cool melody to it, and it really kind of brought that moment together for me.
Solos actually are not real prevalent in this album, but it's fine because there is melody intertwined throughout. I don't know, I really like the dissonance. I'm a huge fan of dissonance in death metal albums.
I mean, it's a cool element. It definitely makes it sound murkier, creepier, and all that shit. Definitely evokes a certain mood to the fucking music. One of my favorites on here was Violence, A Worthy Truth, which I thought was just a banger right from the start. But this is where I started to notice something that I originally picked up their first EP, which is Pain Will Define Their Deaths. And it's a killer album. All the songs on that EP are on this album. Now, granted, they're mixed better, but they kind of made me think like I'm only getting really 6 new songs for this new album that came out. But at the same time, with the better mix, these songs really stand out. And this one was one of my favorites on there. Fucking groovier, nasty chug to it, killer bass line, which you can actually hear the bass real audibly on this. And the guy actually spent some time in Archaic, apparently. So another track I particularly like was the closing track, Pain Will Define Their Death, which was the opening track on that named EP. This one had a really awesome closing part to it, really built in a cool melody and a nice breakdown. There's some real atmospheric stuff going on. And this one was where I was like, all right, I can excuse them putting the song from the EP on there because it's notably bigger. The sound is much fuller on this, and they actually added some cool layered elements on that.
I mean, you would hope coming out of an EP into a full-length album that if you're going to put songs that were on the EP, that you at least re-record them and or remaster them. You'd want them to have a fuller sound anyway, which they did.
I mean, the EP was recorded really well. It's just a lot more raw.
Yeah.
This definitely sounds still 100% raw as fuck, but definitely more polished and gone over, so the instrumentation still stands out. So, like tech metal, where you generally get a more polished mix because you want to hear all the instrumentation, you
Correct.
get kind of that on this, but you're greeted with a litany of just buzzsaw guitars and walls of fucking noise that somehow kind of curtail into melodies. It's really interesting how that, because there were parts in this like, maybe this is too much, maybe this is too fucking heavy, but somehow I was still drawn into it. And
I don't know. Is that a statement? Is that even a statement?
I don't know.
Too fucking heavy a statement?
This might be the heaviest album I've listened to this year. Honestly, it might be.
I mean, it's up there.
It's definitely up there.
It's a heavy album. You know us. You've watched. Hopefully, you've watched enough of these videos to know now that the wheelhouse for at least he and I for most of this is heavy music. And this record was definitely no slouch. He texted me a couple days ago before this album came out and said, "Oh man, you got to check this out. I'm about to get this record." And I listened to it at work, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is heavy!" And then the full length was out today, and I jammed it today, and it's heavy. It's heavy. I love heavy music, so.
So, for me, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Now, granted, there are some moments I got lost in them because the wall of dissonance and just super nuts riffs, but it still kept drawing me in, and I really like the songwriting on this. This is definitely unlike anything that's come out of the whole Portland, Oregon scene.
That's true.
And the insane amount of technical skill on this, while still remaining very raw, impresses me across the board. Really enjoyed this release. Definitely going to listen to it again. Might be year-end material, I don't know.
I'm going to give it 4 stars as well. My 4-star rating, again, I agree with a lot of what he says. My wheelhouse for music is heavy, brutal death metal, tech metal, and this record was just no slouch. I just found non-stop moments where I was just headbanging and dancing back and forth, and that's usually a good sign for a good record.
You were dancing?
Dancing? I was dancing in the kitchen while doing... Some people dance while doing dishes. I don't know if you dance while doing dishes. It doesn't fucking matter. I dance while doing dishes. Anyway, I don't really have a complaint about this album. The kick drum was a little clicky, and really, I think this record was a little short. Generally, I like a little bit longer songs regardless of what's happening. But overall, I have no complaints. I'll definitely jam this again, but it's 4 stars for me, too. So, here we are yet again, the end of another review. Of course, if you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe. We do stuff like this
all the time.
The damn time, so...
Look out for a lot more reviews.
Yeah, I know we got a bunch more coming, and I know there's some live shows. We're about to go see... Revocation, Voivod, Conjurer, and Psychroptic here in a couple days.
Skeletal Remains, too.
Skeletal Remains, yep. So watch out for some live reviews, and I know there's a bunch of stuff coming out in September. The end of the year is chocked with great reviews, so you're going to definitely see some shit. Until then, guys, keep it real.